Mr. Biden wants you to buy electric vehicles. He even gets behind the wheel of the biggest ones. Check this out.
Anybody want to jump in the back? On the roof?
You look good, President.
This sucker is something else. This sucker's quick. Well, okay, I'm just going to step on it. I'll come off at 80 miles an hour. We'll see what it is, okay? Ready?
But Rutro, there's a roadblock. On Wednesday, the head of the NTSB warned the heavy ones are dangerous, saying, quote, I'm concerned about the increased risk of severe injury and death for all road users from heavier curb weights and increasing size, power, and performance of vehicles on our roads, including electric vehicles. Wow. Lisa, you were smart enough to move down south, right? And I'm sure you've never looked back.
Was.
Did you ever consider California?
I absolutely did not.
Good. Because what they want to do there is they want to not sell anything but electric cars by the year 2035. So here's my question. You live in an apartment complex?
I do.
Okay.
Just don't give the address away.
No, that won't be happening. That would be doxing, I believe they call it. But in that apartment complex, let's say you had an electric vehicle. How are you charging that thing if there's like 3, 5, 1,000 people in the apartment complex? No one thinks these things through, right? Or if you're on the road and your car runs out of charge because you're in traffic, like you are probably around Miami or around Orlando or around San Francisco or Los Angeles, then you're going to create even more traffic. But most importantly, an electric car, the cheap ones are $60,000. How does the average person afford that? In other words, is any of this being thought through very well? Because it doesn't seem like, as you pointed out before, the reality on the ground that people are feeling and what the government is pushing are two very different realities.
Well, you know what's still in my mind? I am surprised that they still let Joe Biden drive. I would think they would take the keys away at this point.
Well,
but to your point, look, I will never get an electric vehicle because I look to China as the reason why I don't want one.
Also, it rains in Florida.
China tracks their citizens through the electric vehicles, and they make the vehicle manufacturers turn over data points about the drivers as well as pinpointing their locations. It's part of their larger surveillance system, just like the COVID tracking system, which they use to disallow people to be able to leave their homes or even go to the grocery store. So I don't want to get an electric vehicle because I don't want to be tracked by the government. And I think that's the whole point, the whole reason why China's pushing its citizens to electric vehicles and why we're trying to do it here in the United States. And I believe that's the same reason with pushing for, some of these electric stoves as well, to be able to, track citizens. So.
And Kennedy, the three biggest polluters in the world, China, India, Russia, I believe, right? And they're not on board with any of these climate change initiatives. So we could do everything in our power here and spend trillions of dollars and destroy our economy, but it's not going to matter if those folks aren't on board, right?
No, and that's what happens when the government does this by force. If there are individuals and companies that want to come up with innovations that allow us to use an abundance of goods with very little energy, I would say that's a great evolution for society. But that has to happen privately. That has to happen naturally, because when it happens by force, then you see the grid kind of turned upside down. Like in California, sure, they want you to drive an electric vehicle, theoretically, but the power grid can't support that. And the governor had to come out last year and tell, hey, stop charging your electric vehicles.
You know,
we're having brownouts. Which, all that means is there's a brownout. The bottom of your feet are going to be red because you're going to be walking everywhere because there are no modes of transportation. And it's all about the power to weight ratio and the torque, Joe.
Yeah.
They will figure out eventually how to make lighter batteries when the market catches up and there is as much demand naturally from people who've heard good stories about electric vehicles. That hasn't happened. We're not quite there yet.
Torque is paramount. I want to play a clip from AOC real quick, Charlie, and I'll get your reaction to it. Here is AOC, the Congresswoman from the 14th District of New York, gaslighting her Instagram followers about the possible ban on gas stoves. Take a listen.
I do think it's funny, the absolute utter Republican meltdown where they're like, you can take my gas stove or my cold dead hands. Or how dare you talk about gas stoves? You have a gas stove. First of all, I rent, period. Second of all, though, it doesn't even matter because by that logic, these are the same people who would have said we should have never gotten rid of leaded gasoline. This is about a decision about what may be sold and regulations in the far future. Okay? So everyone just take the temperature down a little bit.
Wow, it's perpetually sophomore year, Charlie.
Yeah, kudos to her for doing Instagram videos drunk. I admire that.
You think she was overserved there?
I think
I concur with Charlie.
I think more members of Congress should do that. Should do everything, give all speeches, just drunk.
Yeah.
But I love the idea that her defense is that she's a renter. Well, I mean, what the hell does that mean? I mean, like people don't own the buildings, and they're not going to pay a massive price for these things. But I agree with you, Lee. I think it all has to do with being able to keep track and follow people. And it's why I still have the little round thing, the little knob. You turn the knob, and the little mercury
Egg
button.
timer.
Yeah, right. It looks like an egg timer.
Well, so China, a Chinese tech giant just put out a media release about their new smart air monitoring technology, and the World Economic Forum also posted an article. It's all about indoor emissions now, and the solution is these indoor tracking air systems. So that is why I think the more we get involved with all this technology, the more data they collect on us and the more control.
I mean, they already are. An Apple Watch, like it's
well, yeah, but you
going
don't need to keep making
straight
it.
to the White
Well, I don't
House
have an
via
Apple
Tim
Watch.
Cook.
They've turned us all into conspiracy theorists, and it's not even a conspiracy theory anymore. It's fact now.
Well, that's the point.
A lot of conspiracy theories coming true lately, right?
Yeah, they all do. What's the
in a lab.
difference between a conspiracy theory and some like really bad stuff? 8 months.
And we got to get out. Anyway.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.